AITA for calling my coworker a nosy BTCH after she kept insisting to know my husband's salary. My husband and I have, both 33, have been together since college. Over the years, he's had quite the career trajectory. He's a quant PM and makes like 10x what I make, and I make a good salary, haha. As we've grown wealthier, I've learned that people become nosier. Friends, acquaintances, relatives, you name it. In the beginning I would entertain the nosy questions, but since I turned 30, I've adopted a take-no-hit attitude. When people ask me how much he makes, I no longer say anything. I've learned the hard way that giving an exact number can have bad consequences. My coworker, 25, is new and she already has quite the reputation. Very chatty, catty, gossipy, you get the gist. You can just tell she craves wealth and status. She wears a bunch of flashy designer items and is always asking the ladies around the office which of the men are single. Last Friday, our office hosted an afternoon happy hour. She approached me and asked how me and my husband's recent vacation to Europe went. I told her it went well and briefly summarized what we did. Then the conversation went something like this. Her: so what does your husband do? Me: he works in finance. Her: oh wow, he must make a ton then to be taking you on all these lavish vacations. I hope you don't mind me asking, but how much does he make in a year? Me: yes, we're very lucky that he makes a good salary. Polite smile. Her: oh come on, I won't tell anyone. How much dosh rake in a year? Millions? Me: awkward chuckle. I'd rather not say, but it's up there. Her: what? He doesn't allow you to give an exact number or something? Me: visibly annoyed. No, I just prefer not to say. Her: laughs in my face. You'd think the stuck-up one would be the one with money, not the one without. Me: you should learn how to take no for an answer and when to quit being a nosy itch. It's a valuable lesson. Then I smiled at her and walked away. Later on, had a few coworkers reach out to me and say Thatch was crying and left early and that I should apologize for calling her a rude name. I refused. I told my mom and she said I was too rude to the new girl and that she's young and might not fully understand salary talk. I think she's old enough. Husband is fully on my side but said maybe I should fake apologize for the sake of office politics, which I somewhat agree with. But still, AITA? AITA took $2,000 to get off the plane and came home late. Delta gave me $2,000 to skip my flight. This is $2,000 that can be spent anywhere. The flight looked like it was going to get cancelled anyway. It did. So now I have $2,000 and a hotel stay, but my fiancé is mad at me because I chose the money over coming home. But it looked like the flight was going to be cancelled. Not to mention I called once and texted once to ask her opinion and she didn't answer either, so I had to make the decision by myself. She claims because she's been in a semi-depressed state the last few days it is crazy of me to ever make that decision. She has not communicated to me well enough how bad she really is right now. Last night when we spoke and she seemed better. AITA for telling my wife that my mother will never love her and to stop trying. I have been married to my wife for 2 years and best way to describe my mother is cold. She not rude or anything, it's just disinterested in my wife. The best way I can explain my mom is that she is tired. She had a really hard life, doesn't have much affection left to give and she rarely gets close to anyone. It's pure disinterest and she can't bring herself to care about new people. She's a retired old lady that just wants to sit on the porch, not make small talk with people. I've explained this to my wife before and told my mother's story. We had a little get-together at my mom's house. My mom doesn't like it when people bring food. She works all day to make a spread and it's like her thing. She just wants to provide for the guests. My wife came from work and she brought food, potato salad. I stop her from bringing it in. The whole night she is just bothering her when she was on the porch. Asking her if she wants to go on a shopping trip. When my mom asks for some quiet she still talks on. When I was walking by she asked me to take my wife away from her. This made my wife upset, but I did it since I could see mom was getting close to the end of her rope. We had a talk in the car what that was all about, and she just wants to be loved by her mill. She is being nice so she doesn't get why she doesn't like her. I told her my mother will never love her and just stop. What she is doing is actively making her dislike you and to leave the women alone. She called me a jerk and hasn't spoken to me since. Edit was told to include this comment. From an info comment almost never. Most of the time if people join her in the porch it's very little or small talk or just join her watching the garden. She doesn't care how loud they are in the house or anything like that. She likes watching others have a good time, more of an observer than anything. She asked for quiet with my wife since she was just going on for a while. My sister was out there and told me mom tried politer ways to ask for her to be quiet and it didn't work. Also the direct request didn't work with my wife and she kept going. AITA for always turning down hangouts with my friends when they ask to bring their kids. I have a friend group of 7 women from uni. I'm the only one that's child-free, but 1 is childless, 2 are pregnant with their first and 3 have kids. We as a group rarely meet up. I've seen all of them maybe twice in the last year, and we all live in the same city. Every time someone asks to meet you and we finally find a date, everyone is available. One of the moms always asks if they can bring their child or children. It's usually one of 2 moms, as the third actually wants to have a kid-free evening. And before anyone else can answer, the other mom says yes. All 3 moms have husbands who can watch their kids. Most of them also have both sets of grandparents who are involved. But somehow they never manage to find someone who can babysit, as they call it. So at this point I've stopped answering until they've set a time and place. Someone has asked about kids, and I say I can't make it. I hang out with them one-on-one, or in smaller groups instead. Well, a few days ago we agreed to finally meet up. No one had asked about kids and we were having a BBQ and wine night. Will, who shows up with their 8-year-old? Yep, one of the moms. I clearly didn't hide my annoyance and one of the girls asked me why. I just waved it off and 30 minutes later I excused myself and left. Said I didn't feel well. In those 30 minutes we hadn't had any adult talk, we were just entertaining the kid. I would rather go home thsndo this for another 3 to 4 hours. After I left, I think they realized this was a pattern and I got text from most of the girls in the group. Some calling me an AmItheAsshole, others just saying they were annoyed with me for leaving, while the third mom having my back and asked to meet up later that week to have a proper wine night. I don't hate kids at all. I work with them every day and don't want to spend my time off, relaxing with friend, having to entertain other people's kids again. AITA? AITA for frightening my nephew and making him traumatized for life? I had a cookout at my place on the 4th. My daughter's, 13, Switch goes missing. I contacted family members and my wife's sister, Kara, said my daughter gave it as a gift to her son Stevie, 6, for his upcoming birthday. I asked my daughter and she said it wasn't true. She let Stevie use it so they could all play Mario Kart together and it went missing after the cookout. My daughter is upset and I call Kara back, who insists that the Switch is now Stevie's and my daughter is too old to play anyways or will outgrow it soon and it was a gift to Stevie. She calls my daughter an Indian giver. After this I contacted my uncle, who is a police officer, and he watches Kara's house, and a few of his friends go over and threaten to arrest Steve and Kara over stolen property. Kara reluctantly gives it back after an incident with the officer that she could have been arrested for. The warned Stevie next time steals both him and his mom will go to jail. They let my Sil go without incident. Sil says Stevie has been crying non-stop and having issues sleeping because he doesn't want to go to jail and blaming me and my family for traumatizing her son. My response might have been heartless because it was, I guess he'll never steal again. Kara thinks he'll be traumatized for life for making a big deal over a stupid game. AITA for telling my mom that I don't give a FCK about my autistic brother. My 16F parents didn't have much time for me after my brother, 9M, was born, and it got even worse after he was diagnosed with autism when he was 3. My dad is rarely home and my mom is always busy with my brother, so neither of them have time for him. I've known my best friend, Rachel, since we were in kindergarten. Her mom is the nicest person I've ever met. Rachel and I played soccer, but my mom was rarely able to take me to practices and games, so Rachel's mom would always take me. I used to be in the school choir and my parents went to like one performance during the 6 years I did it. Rachel's mom was at every performance for me even though Rachel wasn't in choir. Those are just a few examples, but Rachel's mom has always been there for me when my parents weren't available. My mom never really cares what I'm doing unless she needs me to watch my brother, so I spend a lot of time at Rachel's house. Once I spent a whole weekend there and my mom didn't even call to ask where I am. Rachel's family go on a lot of vacations and they often take me. They're going to Disney World during Thanksgiving break and invited me to come with them. I asked my dad and he said I could go. They've already planned and booked everything and I'm really excited. I've been to Disneyland once with my family and it was horrible. My brother threw a huge tantrum on the first day because he wanted to go on the rides alone and sit between mom and dad, so I had to stay in the hotel most of the time. My brother found out that I'm going to Disney and had a really big meltdown. He loves Disney and was mad that I was going without him. My mom told me that she was planning to go to Washington to visit my grandparents. My dad didn't say anything about that, so I'm pretty sure she just made that up to stop me from going. And even if they are going, I don't want to. I don't want to go on a 14-hour car ride with my brother, and I'm pretty sure when we get there they're either going to make me stay with him while they go out or take him out and leave me alone in the hotel. I also wouldn't be allowed to go out on my own. She told me that I need to think about my brother and his feelings are more important because he's younger and autistic. I told her that I honestly don't give a FCK about my brother's feelings and I wish he was never born. He was there when I sidled this and he's been crying and screaming for the last 3 hours and it's giving me a headache. My mom has been trying to calm him down and my dad said that he'll still let me go because he understands I'm frustrated. He also grew up with neurodivergent siblings so he knows what it's like. My mom said that I'm a rude, ungrateful brat and I need to be kinder to my brother. AITA? Edit. IDK if this is important, but we live in California and went to Disneyland in Anaheim. I'm going to Disney World in Orlando with Rachel's family. I think my brother does somewhat understand that Disney World has more fun stuff which makes him more mad. I didn't tell him anything and I'm pretty sure my dad didn't either, so either he overheard us talking or my mom told him. Edit 2. I was 11 when the Disneyland incident happened. My brother was mostly nonverbal then, but when we were about to leave the hotel he started screaming and saying no while pointing at me. My parents calmed him down briefly, but when we got on our first ride he started screaming again, so my parents told me to go back to the hotel. I snuck out the second day and went on like 2 rides before I ran into my parents and they told me chew back because they didn't want me to be out the real one. Edit 3. I don't blame my brother for what happened at Disneyland. He was 4. I blame my parents for no finding a better way to handle the situation. He was nonverbal at that time, but he can talk now. He isn't high functioning exactly, but he does understand what's going on around him. He has basic life skills but can't be on his own for very long.